This is 5 Live Boxing.
2 heavyweight giants, 2 veterans, 1 venue, a special weekend. Derek Delboy Chisora, wars thrown in there sometimes, against Deontay Wilder, former world heavyweight champion. What more do you want from a heavyweight clash? I'm Steve Bunce, and this is 5 Live Boxing. So 2 veteran heavyweights. The stats, well, they're quite ridiculous. Let's get them out of the top because, why not? Let's get them at the top. They'll both be having their 50th fight. Tick. That's 98 fights they've had combined. Combined age, 82. Wins, 80 wins. 66 by, knockout generally. You don't get fights like that. I've had a look back through history. They don't exist. This is unique. And for a unique fight, on a very late night in London, after a very long day, talking to heavyweights and their heavyweight companions, there's only one man I need with me. It is, of course, a former super featherweight. You thought I was going to introduce David Hay or Lennox Lewis? Forget that. Barry, what was your first reaction when you heard that Deontay Wilder was going to be fighting Derek Delboy Chisora on April the 4th at the O2?
Do you know what? I sort of went, the figures. Actually, that makes sense.
Suddenly it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, because when they're talking about Wilder, boxing Alexander Usyk, I thought, I don't know, the form he's in right now and the form Usyk's in, that's not going to look good. But then when he said Chisora, who's in fantastic form, but he's still, the age he's at, and he's still.
And there was a lot of bad years.
Yeah, and even the wins he's had, he still had to work for it, and he's looked good, and just thought, maybe this might be the right time for this fight, because there was one point in this, if this fight was made a few years ago, when Wilder was right on form, that stylistically it was a bad fight for Derek, because he has to walk through the fight, Derek, to get to you.
So sort of 2016, 17, 18, when Derek was waiting for another chance, having lost to Vitali in 2012, and at that point, Deontay was well into his run of 10 consecutive world title defences. Then it was a bad-looking fight.
Yeah, when he was full of confidence, he just wanted to take people's heads off. And even though Derek loves that sort of fight, he'd have to take some to get there. And at that point, if Wilder could hit you, you were done. And we were seeing that against fantastic fighters like Luis Ortiz, who were outboxing him, but still, you take a second breath and you're done.
Now, we're going to hear from both the boxers, and as I say, plenty of the people surrounding the fight. But you watched the press conference with me. What was your sort of gut reaction? Because what they kind of told me, and we're going to hear them being interviewed, what they told me was this was about the fathers and not the fighters. This was about the idea that they're both really decent human beings. And as Derek said, there's no need to throw a table. And I know a little bit about throwing a table.
I mean, with Derek Chisora, you're always waiting for the unexpected, aren't you? And that's what we got today. It was very sullen, wasn't it? It was calm and over respectful, I would say. Let's be honest. No one really wants to see that for the build of a fight, though. We complain and argue, being purists about when people they should be fined for doing this and fined for doing that. Where's the respect of the sport? But all
when
that
2 guys show their respect, we're wondering where the tables are going to start flying.
Well, you got both guys who are great. One's a great talker. One does more talking with his actions in build-up, but they both know how to sell a fight in their own unique ways. And so I saw it was a little bit disappointed, but I also didn't mind it at the same time, because whatever happens, and they did allude to that, or they didn't allude, they right out said it. Come fight week, they'll forget their friends. Yeah. And they will. I mean, if we could fast forward today to fight week and the press conference in fight week, there might be a couple of laughs, but then one will say something and it'll go bam. One will go, no respect in the world, but I'm going to knock you out. And they'll go, well, come on then. Yeah. And then it'll start.
So even fighters that don't have to make weight, they're still getting edgy, because they both started, early camps, I guess you could probably say.
You're focused, isn't it? Your whole focus on that
your entire life.
People don't understand how training takes over your life. Forget about the weight. It takes over your life. You only thought, I mean, that's why, families of fighters, and I empathise and I feel regretful for the way I treat some of my family and build up for my fights, because you're selfish. Because you have to be, because it's all about you. You're the one who's going to get hurt, and you're the one who has to be focused and concentrating to be fit, and mentally, physically, all that stuff has to be spot on, the best you can. So it's all about you. Your whole life's about you. It's a focal point. So and you and him, or you and her, if you're in a fight. So you don't think about nobody else. Don't think about your kids. Don't think about anything. Even though you're with them, you're sort of detached. It's a weird feeling, it is. And it's all about, what can I do to that guy? Or how can I stop that guy doing that to me? I think that's important. And I think for that, when it gets close to a fight, the edge is there, the focus is there. And for people like them who are quite erratic, that's where all the mad stuff comes out.
But I know we're a long way out. You know, this is very early February and they're fighting at the start of April. But could you get any tells today from the press conference? Could you sense anything? I mean, there was a lot of love in the room, but they were full of respect for each other. But was there just anything, before we hear from the first of them, was there just anything in your eyes?
Yeah, not from Derek. I think he's just the same, always. A little bit blasé, but can flick on a switch. But I think with Wilder, because he wasn't mad aggressive like he can be in the past, he wasn't trying to oversell.
He's limiting his bomb squads.
Yeah, but he also wasn't massively. I mean, he was quite thoughtful, but almost realising, understanding, and sort of explaining to us. Listen, I've been through some problems. He almost went too deep explaining what
I agree,
problems he went through. But I mean,
we are fighters, not robots.
I think he realises the pressure to perform is more on him. I think because he's not saying I'm retiring. He's not saying it's 50 and out.
No.
And he's the one who, really wants to get back for box. He's the one who said, I want to box for the world title again. I can be a world champion again. And probably, you talk about, his record is obviously on paper much better than Derek Chisora's. Yeah. But on the run of form, it's not on paper. It's not the best of form.
It's all dealt.
So he realised I'm a better fighter than this, and this is my chance to prove it. And Derek, if he can get it right, I think Wilder, this is the perfect start. If he's on form, this is the perfect start to make him look fantastic. But if he's not on form, this is the worst style. Someone can walk right through you.
Well, listen, let's hear from Deontay Wilder. I sat down with Deontay. He came with a portion of chips, fish and chips, that Derek had bought him. He came also clothed in a beautiful winter Afghan coat. I've got one of those coats. They're the best things in the world. They weigh an absolute ton. So here's Deontay. I sat down with him, and the first thing I asked him was quite simple. So I know he loves London. I asked him how London, the capital, has been treating him.
London is always good to me. Every time I come here, And it's a pleasure to come here because this is where some of the biggest fans of boxing live. And if you're a fighter, you would love to come here. Even when I walk the streets, when I go into restaurants, when I go into other facilities, no matter if I go into a grocery store, I'm always treated well and getting respect from the people.
Okay, so I want to do a really hard question now. I'm hearing fewer and fewer bomb squads these days. Have you sort of retired it a little bit, or are you just using it on occasion? I'm not asking for one now. I'm just saying. You've been in London 2 days. I think I've heard one bomb squad.
Right. Well, if you was with us maybe 20 seconds ago, you would have heard one.
Right, that's good, out on the street.
But the bomb squad is definitely starting to strain my throat a little bit. Pause. But nowadays we have limited of bomb squads a day, so maybe 10 bomb squads a day. I'm down to 9 now.
That sounds about right. And how's Derek been? And would you have a friendship with Derek going back? So I've seen you in different places together over a lot of years.
Yeah, most definitely. Me and Derek definitely have a friendship. Like I tell the guy, I love the guy. I just love his personality. I love the makeup of who Derek Chisora is. By looking at him. You look like a rude boy, but he's a pretty good guy, man. And one of the most things about him I love, he's a amazing father, as I am as well, And when you get 2 amazing fathers, I always connect with fathers, and he's a great person, especially when you get to know him. Just like me. I'm a question mark outside of the ring. No one knows who I am until you get close and you meet me and you fall in love with me.
But over the years, we've had signs of that. There's been great. You've talked to me once about, in fact, not far from here, talking about sitting on your porch at sunset with your kids around you, all of your children messing around on your green, and then suddenly that's almost like you're letting your guard down. That was the real Deontay. That was the one with no question mark.
Yeah, most definitely. When I'm around my kids, they show children show the purest form of love, and they always, they straightforward and they're not blunt about nothing. They come straightforward with the truth of things, and I love it. Most of my younger girls, when I'm away, they'll call me, and if I don't answer, they will leave voice messages, and some of the voice messages go as, "Daddy, I miss you so much." "Well, Daddy, I was just calling to check up on you. You're the best dad in the whole world." And sometimes when I get down or when I have a stressful day, I'll go back and replay those voice messages, and it never fails me to leave my face wet after listening.
Always end up in tears.
Amen.
Deontay, during fight week, can you have messages from your kids, or do you have to? Is there a shut-off point even in Deontay Wilder's life with his children and his family in fight week?
Yes, it is. It's a shut-off point for sure. But you have to when you in a severe business as boxing. You know, you have to be able to shut it off, and when it's time to shut it back on, you have to know how to shut it back on. You know, and you know when you dealing with a business where you don't know what's going to happen. You know, you get in good and you don't know what's going to happen coming out, you know. Even when you come out, sometimes externally we're good. Oh, I feel great or whatever, but internally something may have caused an effect that have something is cooking up inside you don't know. That's why I advise all fighters to go get MRIs, you know, CAT scans, stuff that can check the inside to see what's going on because, you know, we risk our lives for others' entertainment, and I'm looking to have a longevity with my children to be around. I love being able to be a father and to guide them in this world. You know, this is a messed up world. It's crazy nowadays, and I just want to be around the longest possible to guide them.
Now, Deontay, one of the things that we never get spoken about with you, we always talk about who you're fighting next and who you fought last and the fight you've just been in. So whether it's Tyson Fury, whether it's Derek Chisora, whether it's Joseph Parker, Zhilei Zhang, whether it's anyone. But what we never talk about with you is what you actually did as world heavyweight champion. 10 consecutive world heavyweight title defenses. That puts you in a very elite club of heavyweight champions.
Oh, most definitely. You know, with that accomplishment, it feels great, you know, because I'm just a country boy from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that had a dream of risking my life to take care of my daughter that was born with spina bifida. That's all I did, you know. I only sacrificed my life to help feed and support another life, you know. And any father would do that, you know, under any situations or circumstances where their child needs you the most, and you don't have the resources or the financial stability to do certain things. What do? You know, you sacrifice yourself for your child, and that's exactly what I did. And with that being said, you know, my plans. I didn't have plans to be a fighter. My plans was American football, basketball, stuff like that. But most time when you have plans, it don't work out because God have other plans for you.
But when you came back from the Olympics, you were going to be a fighter. You weren't still thinking about alternative American sports then. Once you'd come back with the medal, that was it. You were going to be a fighter at that point.
Almost definitely, because my daughter needed me at that moment in time. You know, the Olympics were just the start of a great adventure for me. I didn't even know nothing about the Olympics. The only way we found out about the Olympics was 2007 up in the gym. I remember it vividly. You know, we was all training, and then
you're like an accidental champion.
Yeah,
you're an accidental world heavyweight champion.
I don't think nothing about accident. It's design because I lead by faith and not by sight. You know what I mean? And you know, God is a good God. He's an on-time one as well.
And just final question on back to Del Boy, Derek Chisora, his 50th fight, your 50th fight. You've had 82 fights between you or whatever. Sorry, you're 82 years of age between you, whatever is 60 odd knockouts. What happens first bell, packed out O2? What happens?
I mean, it's just like Chisora Atlas' name. It's going to be a war. I mean, people see us walking out, they see us as friends and stuff like that because we know how to conduct ourselves. We've been around for a long time. You know, we're both in our 40s. We done experienced so much, we done so much, and it's so many ways of promoting a fight without having the chaos and the drama and even with the security guards being on, not knowing what to expect. And then you got characters like me and characters like him. You don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But we conduct ourselves in a great manner, and you know, and it's gonna be a war in there because we turn it off on the outside of thing, but when we get in the ring, it will be turned on.
And just final question. Are you still enjoying the fighting game? Still enjoying it? Are you enjoying the business?
I'm enjoying it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be in it, you know, because I don't have to be in this business anymore. I've handled my business outside of it, and I've done the proper things to take care of my children with trust, life's trust, wills, and different things like that. You know, I you know, sometimes my financial people, you know, I'm very close to the CEO, and he's like, "Why are you doing it? Why you keep doing it?" And we just had a conversation a week ago, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation. He said, "I understand what you're doing, you know, and although you promised me that you won't do it no more, I understand you and I'm with you, brother. You know, I just want you to go do what you got to do. And then at some point, I want you to keep your promise to me. So I hold that true. So, you know, it makes me feel good to know financially that I'm good all the way around, you know, even with my team or my financial people is telling me things. But I'm still on a mission, you know. Ever since I was 12, I've done things for people, you know. I've been selfless ever since 12 coming up. At this moment in time, I'm selfish. So I want to. It's all about me. It's all about me, and then I just want to give it the best I got while I can. Because when I hang it up and it's done, it's over. It's no coming back. It's no returning, no matter what type of money or opportunity that may have. It's over with because we didn't sacrifice our bodies for years and years. And you got to understand the head and the body is not meant to be hit or banged on. So at some point in time, it will come to an end. But at this moment in time, I'm going to enjoy it while I can and fulfill my dreams while I'm being selfless along this journey.
So, Barry, there's Deontay Wilder finishing with something you said at the top about being selfish. In the past, I was selfless, he said. Now I need to be selfish. Pointing at the fact that he wants to turn things around still, which is bizarre because he's 40 years of age and this is his 50th fight.
Well, he admits it. I've been saying it all week, actually, to people, but it's the mental game for him. Yeah. Physically, like I've said already today to people, but you don't lose your power. Power's the last thing to go, they say. But your ability to find that power, to release that power, is what eludes you. I think that's mental.
And that's seemed missing in several of the last.
That's all.
Certainly 2 of the last 3 fights.
That's all in your head. Unless you're slowing down dramatically. No, when you haven't got the same speed as shots, that can happen. Yes. But I mean, for him, it's not. It's a mental barrier. Whether you could have had a few different trainers who tried to make him a better, more thoughtful boxer, which is the right thing you do. And the same thing happened to Joshua over a period. It took away his magic. Yeah. And his magic for him is that we're in a fight. I'm not technically the best, but I got power, and I'm long, and I'm athletic. So I'll throw fast, and I'll throw often, I'll throw from range, and you got to try and get into me. And he pushes you back that way, and he can. And by the way, and with that, he's able to punch going backwards as well, because he's throwing the punches with so much speed and spite. But you got to think it. You got to think this is the last punch I'm ever going to throw for every punch, and that's what he did. Every punch he threw was the money punch, and I mean that's what made him vulnerable and also absolutely a stunning knockout artist.
But with Wilder there, I sensed something. I mean, I sat down with him before all 3 of the fights with Fury. I sat down with him before the Joseph Parker fight. I sat down with him before the Zhilei Zhang fight. So 3 of those 5 fights, 4 of those 5 fights are fights he lost. I sat down with him. The man I sat down with here, the man you just heard from there, is a different man. He's a different beast. He looks more relaxed. He sounds more relaxed. He could make eye contact. Now, that makes him, in my opinion, a fairly dangerous fighter again. And he talked about that. Yes, it's back during the conference. Yes, it's back. It's never been away.
No, it's true, and he does look that way. And he's a great talker, and he can convince you. But you've got to be aware and try and see the signs that he's not just trying to convince himself that he has something that no longer belongs to him, and that's that belief. I'm not saying that, but you have to be aware of that, because sometimes you're searching and you think you're the fighter you once were, and you might not ever get that back. It's quite hard, especially mental stuff, Steve. Once physically, you can always train to get fitter. Sometimes once you lose that mental edge, it's very hard to find that again, because usually a lot of it is about the journey up, the hunger to get there.
And the thing is, but there's no way of telling with Deontay whether he is back, whether he isn't back, because if you were watching the Luis Ortiz fight when it goes the 8 or 9 rounds and he lands that shot, having lost the previous 8 or 9 rounds or whatever it was, you had no idea that Deontay Wilder was still there. Steve, and that's the beauty of Deontay Wilder.
But in that fight, even though he was getting outboxed, Luis Ortiz is a fantastic boxer, by the way. And you never thought he was going to get. I didn't think he was going to win the fight, but he's throwing every time with belief that if he can catch you, he can knock you out. So his mental state doesn't change. Even though he's getting outboxed, he's just trying to wreck you every time. But in recent fights, he hasn't boxed in the same manner. It's always been a little bit more
control,
not massively tentative, because he's not that way, but a little more tentative than what he needs.
You're not wrong then. I also caught up with Del Boy. Now, I've known Del Boy a long time, and he alludes to that straight away. But the one thing about Del Boy, if you actually look at it, I think, Barry, that he's met about 25 boxers from the top 10. And I put that to Derek. Well, he seemed to be quite pleased with it.
Thank you very much. But, looking at this now, I remember when we met, you used to give me a stick.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because you didn't used to train very hard, did you?
Yeah.
You did have a training problem back then,
And
Del.
your core used to give me a stick every
Yeah.
time, even at the amateurs.
Because you had the talent, but sometimes you didn't put it in, and you were knackered in the third round.
Can I tell you something?
Go on.
I did not know.
Yeah,
I did
of
not
course.
know. Do you understand? I did not know. But I thank David Hay for showing me the right way. And that's it.
Once David started working with you after the fight, you did. It was a transformation in Derek.
Big time in transformation in training and knowing how to eat. Back in the days, I'm like, this food is not cold, it's not warm enough. And David was like, no, we eat for the field, bro, for training, so we eat. We don't need taste buds. I was like, fine, perfect.
Derek, it's going to be your 50th fight. You're 42. You're in the last 18 months of your life. Some people might argue, and I might be one of them, that this might be the best Derek Del Boy Chisora yet. Your head's right, your body's right. How have you done it? What you've turned things upside down.
It's all God, bro. God, amen. It's all God. Certain things.
God and saunas.
It's God and saunas. But you know what? For me to get to a sauna is a blessing of God. And this faith, my brother, faith.
And Deontay Wilder is a man that you've crossed paths with for many years at different shows, at different arenas. Would you classify him as a friend? Obviously, going into the fight, it's different. But would you have classified him 6 weeks ago before this fight was made as a friend?
Yeah, me and Deontay Wilder, we huff and puff together in Saudi and in Dubai, so we just hang out.
He's a particularly dangerous fighter, Derek, if you fight Deontay Wilder's fight.
Yes. If I give him time on the ball, he's very dangerous.
And in the past, when he's had a bad performance, then he can pull it around. But he's also had a bad performance where he hasn't turned it around. But I've spoken to Deontay Wilder today at length, and he sounds like he's in a better place than he's been for a long time.
That's the problem I'm facing, because I want the old Deontay.
You want the old Deontay?
I want the old Deontay. But, you know what? I want him to come out, so I want the British public to spend their hard-working money, buy tickets, and come watch us. I want the killer Deontay. That's the guy I want.
So you want the best Deontay?
I want the one who go bang, and then suddenly you're on the floor, and you don't know why you're on the floor for. You're like, ref, the floor is wet, and now it's a punch, son. That's what I want.
Del, the thing with Deontay, okay, is he obviously brings that kind of danger, but the British public also like him. But what's happened in the last couple of years? People have always liked you. You don't get booed. But this last 2 or 3 years, Derek, you've become almost the fans' favourite. People absolutely love and adore you. What happened? How did that happen?
Because you know what? I've been saying the same thing every day. I say the truth. When you speak the truth, people don't want to listen. And they're subconscious sometimes. They start listening. They're like, you know what? He is right. And then suddenly by the time they get onto the gravy train, they're like, you know what? It's much better on this train than anywhere else, bro. So I've never changed. I've been always saying the same stuff I say every day. I like fighting, and when I come to fight.
But a lot of fighters say that, and then maybe don't deliver. But you've been delivering.
I deliver because I don't want to be one thing walking down the streets and people don't respect you. Nah, I want people to say, you know what? The best thing I love the most is like when I'm in town in Mayfair, or I'm running from my house into Mayfair. The bus drivers, beep, 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 they're waving at me. The taxi drivers, beep, 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 they're waving at me.
They love you.
They're waving at me.
So So let me take you to the night of the fight, okay? You're in the dressing room at the O2. You've been in those big dressing rooms before. You can hear the crowd. It's completely sold out there. Your fans there, but it's good night. It's going to be like a carnival. It's going to be brilliant, the atmosphere. You're coming out, Derek. Are you going to savour that moment? Because will it be the last Derek Chisora
The last
fight?
one, the ring walk will be so slow that I'm like, hurry up, Derek, hurry up.
You're going to set a record, 12-minute ring walk.
Probably half an hour. By the time I walk in the ring, man, you'll just be waiting and stuff like that.
And then what happens? Ding, ding, first bell,
Ding,
Derek
ding, and
Chisora.
we go to war.
Simple as that.
It's simple as that.
Del Boy there, convinced this fight doesn't need selling in any kind of grand or stupid way, and I absolutely agree with him. I think Del, as you say, will change come fight time. But I'm gonna put that to you, the idea that there's so many named fighters that he's met. Like Robert Helenius, at the time that Derek went out to fight him and lost a very bad decision. I think we had it back in the day on Box Nation. Yeah, we did indeed. I thought he won the fight clearly, but hey-ho. I mean, he was just one of about 25 fights. Not 25 fighters, obviously, because he fights Fury 3 times and he fights Dillian White twice. But there's a great case that there's at least 20 men inside the top 10 when he went in the ring with them. I'm not saying that's a record, but those are the kind of stats he used to get in the 80s, 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, and then he becomes what used to be called the gate. He said it's called the gatekeeper. Back in the 80s, 70s, he would have been called the gatekeeper.
Absolutely.
If you want to be anywhere near
go through
the
me,
world title, he's the acid test, and he still is. I think Derek Chisora is. And this is going to sound weird, but bear with me. I think he's one of the easiest fighters to train for.
Yeah.
But one of the hardest fighters to box.
Yeah, I knew the punchline was coming. Yeah,
you know what you're going to get with him, so you can plan it out. This is what he's going to do every time. He does the same thing every time. This is what he's going to do, and nobody's going to do. So you can train for that. Yeah. But how do you stop it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and especially now. I mean, in all fairness, bro, this Derek is a Derek I didn't think I'd see. 4 or 5. I actually go back to that night at the XL when Tyson Fury stopped him in their rematch. Their second fight,
by the way,
as a southpaw, the whole time. And I look at that fight, and I genuinely believe that this Derek. You know, I never thought we'd see this Derek after watching that Derek. I didn't think we'd have Derek around. Was that 12 years ago? I can't remember. Before, people, let's be honest, a lot of people have been worried about Derek's health and what the aftercare, what he's going to be like after he boxes. So a lot of people have been saying, everybody, Frank Warren, everyone, time to retire, saying it for a few years. But even before that, I thought, he must just pack it in now because you've had a decent career, a good career. Yeah, we had a good 12 rounds of Vitaly Klitschko in 2012.
Yeah, a good career, but, he's not going to make that grade now. That's enough now. Because I thought the fight. I thought he was getting like a lot of fighters end the boxing 6 rounders for a couple of grand.
Yeah.
That's what we thought. That's what quite often crews end
up. Or worse, still Danny Williams fighting 4 rounders for 200 quid.
A wasteland and just no way out. I thought get out before that happens. All he's done is just shown that how mentally tough he is, physically and mentally tough he is. I mean, it's no good for your health, but I mean, we can argue that thing all day. He's a hard man to beat. He's always on you. And the thing with Derek, he looks tired at round 4. Yeah. But in round 11, you get the same fighter.
You get a second win.
I can't figure it out. He just looks exhausted.
See, he strikes me.
But then it's the same rhythm. And it's so he doesn't look very good in the early rounds. But then in the later rounds, you're still thinking, you're not going away, you're still here. And for these big guys, it's hard work. And for someone like Deontay Wilder, who's a lighter man, if he can lean on Deontay Wilder, I mean, he'll empty his tank in no time.
And that's why this fight has to be bruising, has to be brutal. It just has to be. Because neither of them had the ability to do a Shakur Stevenson, for instance. Neither of them had that ability to box and manoeuvre like that. They have to fight.
I tell you what Wilder showed. Actually, Wilder, he's knocking everyone out, and in the Fury first fight, knocks him down in the last round. But everyone thought, well, we certainly did, that Fury won that fight. In the rematch, Fury goes at him and bullies him and stops him. And it looked like Wilder, like a lot of massive punches, because they haven't been in wars, because they're knocking everyone out, was maybe a bit of a bully in the ring. Not outside,
here we go.
In that third fight, he showed how tough he was. I mean, unbelievable.
People forget that could have gone either way 5-6 times. That fight could have gone either way 5-6 times.
It was a beautiful fight to watch as a spectator.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, probably a horrible fight to be in, but I mean, get knocked down, get back up, knocking in. I mean, you can train for that. You can't teach that. You've got it or you haven't got it. You find out in the worst moment of your life when you're on the floor and you're hurt. And he got up. So we know if he can be hurt, he'll get up.
So we know one thing about the pair of them. They will get up if they go down.
Yeah.
And if you hurt them, that sometimes wakes them up.
The only thing with Wilder, he has keep you down power.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
That's the difference. And I mean, whether he hasn't shown it for a long time, that. And again, that's the beauty of this fight. He hasn't shown what his superpower is. We haven't seen it for a while. But it's got to be there somewhere. He's just got to believe that he can still do it. And I think that's why, for him, it's more mental than physical. For Derek, it's just get fit. For Deontay, it's get that mindset right. And it's a beautifully posed fight, I think.
The superpower's got to be there somewhere. And I caught up with Kalle Sauerland, who's the co-promoter of the show, alongside alongside Frank Warren. We'll hear from Frank Warren in a moment. And I started speaking to Calla, and the first thing I had to go through was, I said, Calla, listen, if I'd have told you 6 weeks ago the 49 fight Del Boy Chisora is going to fight 49 fight Deontay Wilder, it will sell out the O2. Between them, they're 82 years of age, all those knockouts, all those stats. What would you say? Have a listen to this. You're going to love it.
I'd say you hacked my phone. Bunsey, it's pretty much how it went down. You know, the fight was suddenly came on the radar. And I'd been following a little bit the Wilder Usyk discussions, and I'm like, well, I don't know, he's only got a fight left with another promoter, with Frank, but then I saw Eddie talking to him as well, so I thought, I'm not so sure about that. And I said, look, we've got other things, to be honest, that we're trying to focus on at the moment. I said, this sounds amazing, yeah? But I said, kick it on, but keep it well away from me until this is a reality. About 2 weeks later, so now we're minus 4 weeks. Both fighters agree, and I'm now obviously I've got to talk to lawyers and find out what do we need to know, and things like that backgrounds of boxing, and then I started like thinking, how big is it? I mean, Chisora Wilder on the paper, it's a very good fight, very interesting fight.
But does something happen?
But now my juices as a promoter start to get going. And I'm thinking, hold on, they're both on 50 fights. It's 100 fights. That's magic already.
That's a magical number.
But then when we really talk about, and Bunsey, you're one of the biggest boxing historians in the world, you talk about this generation of heavyweights. Now, we can have lots of arguments, how good it is, not good it is, whatever. It's been very entertaining.
Absolutely.
It took off thanks to Tyson Fury beating Vladimir Klitschko in Düsseldorf
11 years ago.
That was their generation.
Absolutely,
that was the Klitschko generation, and now it's the next generation. Spearheaded by Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Usyk coming in the last 3-4 years,
and 10 other fighters. 15 other fighters.
Yeah, and 10, 15 other fighters. But the names that are constant throughout that time are Wilder and Chisora. And very, very different reasons. Yeah, I mean, I promoted Del Boy. I'm sure you were there.
Lennius or someone like that.
In Helsinki all those years ago.
13 years ago.
Absolute robbery.
Yeah.
And but Derek's been in there with all the guys in
20-odd top 10 fighters in the last 15 years.
And then you look at, Deontay.
10 consecutive world heavyweight defences.
So now I'm really thinking, oh my God, this is really it's a super interesting fight. They're both in their twilights of their careers, but they're there with their very different stories in it. But one thing's clear. After this night, one is leaving us, leaving the sport, right?
One walks away.
It's Bocelli. It's time to say goodbye. It's bells and whistles.
You're selling it.
But am I selling it? I'm not really selling it.
You don't need to.
That's the story. I don't need Callum sitting there or Frank sitting there, whoever's sitting there. That's the truth, Bunsey. It's just, that's what it is. So instead of going last man standing, which I've promoted about 155 times in my career, we've all done a last man standing, along with no retreat, no surrender. And there's, what's the other one I love?
Battle of something. Battle of filling the gap.
Battle of course. Bad Blood is another favourite.
Bad Blood 7.
But this one we just went with 100. I'm a big fan of the movie 300, so it's that sort of stuff. But it's the 100th fight at that level. Like, that's a piece of history in itself. So, like someone said to me quite rightly, what are you talking about? What's it history? I said, mate, don't ask me now.
Yeah.
If you're in the O2 on April the 4th or watching it on DAZN, you will be watching a piece of history. Don't ask me the next day. Tell me in 10 years' time.
You're so
that
right.
was their last fight.
Yeah, because I had a little look at the fights between top heavyweights that would come to even close on numbers. Obviously, it's a bit out. You can't really do it with Archie Moore because he had a zillion fights. Foreman makes it easy because he had 70-odd fights. But otherwise, they all fall short. All the great clashes between good heavyweights. This is, I'm not saying it's unique, 82 years of age combined, 60-odd knockouts, it's 98 fights.
The stats, if you look at it,
it's beautiful.
You think you're talking about a whole card.
No, in fact, we've probably had cards with fewer fights.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that one up.
And add to that this isn't boxing. This isn't boxing, Muncie. It's heavyweight boxing.
That's the truth.
And it's, as my old man always taught me, it's a very different
Different
sport,
business
Callum.
to the rest
You
of it.
pay different for them as well, by the way. But
Yeah, no, by the way,
that's a
yeah.
business matter. They earn very different. But it's the king's class.
You know, I've spoken to both the boxers, and I've got to tell you, Deontay Wilder especially, he sounds like a fresher, younger, more determined and focused Deontay Wilder than I've spoken to for about 6 or 7 years. In his last few fights, I did those out in Saudi Arabia, the 2 defeats, Joseph Parker, Shilei Zhang. He wasn't there. He couldn't make eye contact, Colour. He wasn't really there. The Deontay Wilder today is like a youthful version of him. It's like a guy from 7 years ago who's hungry to get to the title. I was really relieved to hear that.
Now, again, they've had very different journeys here.
To get where we are today.
Deontay Wilder, Ring Magazine recently stated,
Yep.
hardest punching heavyweight of all time.
Absolutely.
We've all got opinions, but that's just what they put out there. A very recognised publication, of course. So he's one of the biggest punchers of all time in the sport.
Yep.
That hasn't gone away. That doesn't just
Never-
go away.
never does.
Never does. His career, of course, has had a downturn since he lost the belt, since the big Fury fights.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he seems to have really rediscovered
Like a different man.
You team live like a
Yes,
different man.
yes.
Now, my old man told me when he goes for his Hall of Fame weekends over in Canastota in America and has all the box around it,
Yeah.
Deontay's always there. And he's spent a lot of time with him. And he said to me a few years ago, he said, Calla, Deontay's biggest problem is the nervous tension. He said, and I said to my dad, I said, look, you've obviously got a few years' experience with me in the sport, so what do you mean by that? And he's saying, well, if you burn that sort of energy off around a fight, no matter how fit a fighter you are, you will come into that ring.
Suffer.
You will suffer in the later rounds. And guess what? We were talking all about the big uniform in the second fight.
Yeah, second fight with Tyson Fury.
And it affected you.
Without
He
a
seems
doubt.
like a very free.
Yeah.
He seems
It's like a
free in
different
that at the
character.
moment. Yeah.
I'm not over-egging it. I'm telling you. Yeah.
So totally. But then we look across the ring.
Yeah.
Derek, right?
Who also looks and sounds different.
Steve, I released Derek. No, 7 years ago, I think 6 years ago when he started working with David Hay, he came to me and said, look, I've got one fight left for Derek.
Go on,
We've had a
son,
great
off you
time,
go.
off your crack,
Thank you.
right? And I thought,
So that was it.
it's game over. Yeah? I mean, especially when he walked in with David, who I promoted as well. And I thought, those two together, this is going very wrong. Every nightclub in London's going to do really good business out of this. But the gyms ain't going to do much out of it. But to be fair, David turned it round for him.
He did, yeah.
He turned
How
it
mad
round.
is that?
Whatever they did, those two foes.
Two crazies together.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I watched on, not with zero bitterness. You often have bitterness when you lose fighters or release fighters, and he goes, well, I loved it. Because it was such a weird combination. It was Dell. But he's just gone from strength to strength. And he really plateaued. His career had plateaued. Everyone knew Derek, Derek has never changed what he does.
Yeah.
He gets in your face. Yeah. He brings
Keeps
war,
moving.
as he puts it. But that's what he does.
Yeah.
He does what it says on the tin. What he does better now, he does it with an engine where you feel he can go 15 rounds.
It's ridiculous.
And that's
42,
41. So, so it's now a genuine, and, we'll all have our opinions on it, but I think everyone can agree to call it a 50-50 is not wild. If you would have said that to me 5 years ago, I would have said, Bunsey, I said, I respect you, but this one you got wrong, right? And it's just so it's, and we haven't had the first press conference, yeah?
Calladair, I think, telling it as it is, that this is a fight where the two of them inevitably will just end up standing and fighting.
Yeah, I think so. I think Wilder will try and keep it long, and Chisora got to get close. I mean, you don't take a boxing expert to figure that out. But what Chisora wants he wants Wilder to punch from the hip. Now Wilder gets speed from that jab for the hip, but Derek's favourite punch, that overhand right. Yeah. Now, early in his career, this is why Derek's a deceiving puncher. His stats would say he's a good puncher, but not a
devastating puncher.
But early in his career, he was punching with the inside of that glove with the right hand over the top. He'd throw it over the top, he wouldn't turn the hand over. Now he is. He hasn't got the same speed that he had as a younger guy, otherwise you get
he's
all those
punching
knockouts.
correctly now, yeah.
But I think he's punching heavier now, and I think with a guy who's tall, not heavy, so he can't absorb the power as much, and has that left hand low, if Derek can slide in close and throw that right hand over the top, I think he gets a free shot every time he does it, if he can get it right. So for Wilder, it's about punching with mean intentions, but from length.
An interesting comment there from Calla, talking about his father, Wilfried Sauerland, the father of German boxing promotion, the father of German boxing. Anyways, he's been in the Hall of Fame for an awful long time, and his father telling him that when he has these conversations with Deontay Wilder, when they're at the Hall of Fame in Canastota, the one thing that he's worked out is just basically how tense Wilder can be before a fight, and he loses so much energy because he's so anxious and so tense. Well, I've seen that in the build-up to certainly the second Fury fight. He was not good that week. He was really on edge that week. But what he seemed to me, Barry, when you could hear it in Wilder's voice, is he just seems like a calmer man now.
Yeah, but I don't think that's any good. I don't think you don't want him to be calm. I think you want him running out that ring looking to take his head off, and that belief. Like, let me show you what I got now. And I mean, not wasting the energy, but everything being like, I'd have him in the changing room, gearing him up. Get him. You got to go and get him. Don't let him wait for him to come to you. You go get him. You go and get him. Don't give him a chance to get in this fight. You can knock him out in one round. He has the power to do that to anybody. So
one round.
You've shown. You haven't shown him for a while. I'll go back to that again. But still, I'd have him like that. All this waiting too long might get him back to the mode we've seen recently and too relaxed. And that belief starts to wane. If you get caught with a shot, the guy puts you under pressure. If you take the initiative, that belief comes back. And with that belief, then you start throwing with conviction. And with conviction with him, it means good nights for anybody.
Now, one man in the boxing business who knows Deontay Wilder better than anybody, probably better than Deontay Wilder knows himself, is Shelley Finkel, his manager. Now, Shelley's been around hundreds of great fighters, half a dozen really, really exceptional heavyweights. And I started a little chat with Shelley, and the first thing I put to him was, did he feel that Deontay gets enough respect as a heavyweight, and especially for what he's achieved in the ring so far?
Well, it's something that either happens or doesn't. I feel he should. If the public doesn't, I think in time they will. I think when he stops, as they thought he had now, people saying, you know, the heavyweight division in the U.S. is very quiet. There's no excitement to it. Deontay, when are you coming back? When are you doing this? It's an exciting fight with Chisora. We don't take it lightly by any stretch. But if he can do what we think he can, there'll be another big thing right after it.
And that's the thing with Deontay. I know that he's always made jokes about people have to concentrate for 36 minutes of a 12-round fight. I have to concentrate for 2 seconds to land a punch. But that's still true. I know there's been a couple of defeats, and there's 4 or 5 defeats or 4 defeats in the last whatever his fights. But he's still Deontay Wilder, and he still seems to have the desire, Shelley.
Well, he seems to have it more now. He's gotten himself physically back. In the time that he was off, he had his shoulder repaired. No excuses.
Yeah, of course.
In the fight.
They're just facts.
These are facts. And he's like, to me, a big Tommy Hearns. He has this torque that when he hits, he knocks you out. Tommy was the same way. He had some spectacular knockouts of Duran and Pepino Cuevas.
Great fighters, great knockouts.
Yes, and I believe that Deontay is that. I am no excuses in the Fury fights, but they didn't see the best Deontay, and I know his desire right now, and we'll see.
I spoke to him both before the Zhang fight and the Parker fight in Saudi. Both of those fights he lost. And I didn't sense the same kind of fire and enthusiasm. I think you were probably at both of the interviews. I mean, the Deontay Wilder I spoke to today is a different Deontay Wilder than the man I spoke to before those 2 fights. Has something changed?
Well, Joseph Parker said it to him last week. We were at the Ring Awards.
Oh, in New York.
And he says, I didn't think you were right when you fought me.
Yeah. And he wasn't.
Right. Yes, a lot has changed, both in his personal life. He was going through a lot. And when you're knocking almost everyone out, you almost take it for granted this is going to happen. And I didn't like that he would be behind after 6 rounds or 7, and then boom.
Relying on a knockout.
Yes.
The Ortiz fight is the big one for that.
Well, but what about Spilka?
Yes, same thing. Yeah. If we forget that right early on.
Yeah.
No, it's good to have him back.
I agree.
Back in that frame of mind.
I agree, and I am optimistic you'll see that translated in the ring.
And it's clear from listening to Shelley there that even if we don't know really what it was, that somewhere along the line, Deontay Wilder has gone to some awful places, some dark places, and he's now back. And you could just sense the glee in Shelley's voice that he's back. And what's more, he's back in style. So if someone like Shelley, and he could have been codding me, I don't think he was. That was him. That was Shelley saying, you know what, he's in a good place, Steve.
And I think he needs to be.
Good, so do I.
Because I think it boils down to this: if we can get a peak, close to a peak Deontay Wilder, I think it's a too difficult night for Derek. Because Wilder, even though he's still 40, he's very massively just athletic, so he can still get that bounce to his step and get that speed in his work. So I think that makes it a hard night for Derek, just stylistically, that is. If we see Deontay Wilder we've seen recently, I think Derek walks right through him, and I wouldn't say a breeze, but he'll walk right through him. If there's nothing to stop Derek from coming forward, you can't.
The one
beat
that
him.
went out against Zhang, the negative one against Parker.
And because bear in mind, Wilder's, even though he's athletic, he hasn't got the technical ability, or he hasn't shown that a Fury has, that he can pivot and spin and always create the space to olay you as you come forward. So he can't do that. So if he hasn't got that, if he's the Wilder we've seen recently, I think Derek bulldozes him in impressive fashion. So I think so ultimately, to me, it depends on what Wilder turns up, to what fight we get.
Yeah, it does. But we will indeed get something special. It's not just us saying it. I think everyone just knows it will be that way. So I caught up with Frank Warren and I put it to him that this is basically as a history fight. There's lots of the stats tell you it's a history fight, but it'll also be a very special night.
Well, it is. This is their 50th apiece.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
And you've got a former, 7-year world champion.
10 defences, Frank. 10 defences.
Yeah, I mean, which is a bit of a record. Statistically, he's the hardest punching heavyweight ever. When you look at the amount of knockouts he had on his record, and he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, is it? Or 4 of his last 5 fights. So he's fighting for his career. Yeah. This is it. And for both of them, this is it. You've got Derek, who 13 losses on his career, but has always been there, always given a great account of himself, fought for world titles, just not quite done it. But he's hit a real purple patch of form, and here they both are. This is, we say it on a lot of occasions, the winner goes nowhere, the loser goes nowhere, the winner goes on. In this case, it's a fact. The loser's done. It's finished. Yeah.
Frank, have you been surprised by the public's love for Derek? Because, we know Derek's a hot and cold fighter. He's been a bit, over the years, he's been on a bit of a roller coaster, and he's done this, and he's spat water in Vitaly or Vladimir's face before that fight. He's been involved in that bit of turmoil, paid the bull this amount of money, vanished here, lost that fight when he maybe could have done something different. But the public love him. The public love him.
I think it's the last couple of years, isn't it? He's endeared himself to the public because probably, when he gets in the ring, he gives everything. Yeah. He gives everything, and as I say, he's on a little bit of a roll at the moment, and this is a big, big moment for him. This is a big moment, and it'd be interesting to see how people, or how the bookmakers see this. I'm quite interested on the betting on this fight.
Well, Wilder sounds fresher, sounds more focused, and sounds more motivated than he has been since before the first Fury fight.
He went off to Colombia, I think it was, doing the old ayahuasca trip.
Yep.
And I think that I don't know if it affected him or not.
I think
he's had a lot of problems privately.
Yep.
And he seems to be in a good place at the moment. Shelley told me he's never seen him in such a good place for many, many years. We will see if that reflects in his performance. Look, one thing for sure, if he catches you, you're in trouble. He's a big puncher. And Derek's knocked a few over in his time. So, for me, and looking at styles, they say styles make fights. Yeah. The thing is with these guys, neither of them move like they used to when they were younger.
It's a different fight than it would have been 10 years ago.
A bit like me. So I think it's going to be, the bell goes, centre of the ring, and it's going to be it's basically going to be a shootout.
Now, Frank, we talked there about it being the 50th fight. Derek's talked about this being the last fight, Wilder probably will have to walk off if he loses. But Derek's going to be knocking on your door, isn't he, on the Monday after this fight if he wins? If he wins decisively.
He wins. This is a big moment for him. He'll want to win his 50th fight. He knows, he said this is his last fight. Like he said, his last fight was his last fight.
And the one before that, I think.
And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, the winner of this will see themselves in some sort of big fight, maybe a world title fight, who knows. if Usyk gives up one of the belts, who knows? And you know, so this is it. This is the twilight of their careers, and they want it. And both of them want to go out on a high. One of them will, and one of them won't.
And just quickly, two things. Nick Ball, Brandon Figueroa. I've been warning people about this fight for about 6 weeks. People think that Brandon Figueroa is just another guy making up numbers. He's not.
Two-time world champion.
And the only 2 defeats, points defeats, one of those was really close. It's a hard fight for Nick Ball. Proper
it's a very
fight.
hard fight, and especially you look at the height of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's used to fighting big guys anyway because he's quite as, you know, he's not such, he's not a tall featherweight, but you look at this guy, he's quite a bit of a freak.
Yeah,
he's a big, tall, rangy guy. This is going to be a tough fight. But you know what? Nick's one of the most exciting fighters in the world. And you look at his resume, you look at his last few fights, look at the quality of the opposition
really
he's fought and beat. There's not a lot of fighters have done that at that level in the world, let alone in Britain. So this is a tough fight. He's in his hometown, and we've done everything we can to give him all the advantage. But Figueroa,
he's got to do his
so
stuff
I
in the
understand, fancies the job.
Frank Warren there, in my opinion, just relieved to get the whole thing across a line, because there was some confusion, there was some debating, there was all sorts of stuff going on. It's made, and I think it's the type of heavyweight fight that and I've known Frank a long time, that he likes.
Yeah, of course it is.
Characters.
And even though Frank was on the press conference saying, listen, you know, I've told Derek for a long time he should retire.
Yeah,
and
telling the truth.
And 100% he has.
I have. Derek didn't really talk to me for about a year.
But if Derek wins, and wins in impressive fashion,
he'll be knocking on my door.
Frank will be thinking,
although he denied it, Del Boy denied it, Bal. Del Boy said, no, I'm not. Del Boy said, I'm not coming back.
I got to offer him these fights, and he'll offer him the fights. And with Derek, Derek's been open about, I fight for the money. Purely, he might love it, but purely, only recently he started saying I love it. He's always said, you show me the money.
Yeah, I know.
I got a motto, my motto I nicked off my mate Dave Rogers is, if you got the money, I've got the time. That's Derek's motto for his whole career. You got the money, I've got the time. You pay me, I fight. I mean, he's shown that, and that's what's made him so impressive. Because he don't hide the fact I'm a prize fighter. I will fight anyone. You give me the right sort of money. So I think if he's offered a fight of worth, another world title fight against a fighter who's not a Fury, not a Alexander Usyk, if those titles fragment, I think he'll take it.
In all fairness, Bal, that is a little bit like you. It doesn't matter where you are. If we offer you a few quid to join us to put out a pod or do a live bit of radio or do a broadcast, you're there like that, providing the money's right. You and Del share lots of things.
Someone just walked past. I think there was a couple of quid I could have earned there, and I'm thinking, you're going to let me go?
So, Barry, we're a long way away, and it's a long way away. And as you said, if the best of this man shows up against the worst of this man, then it's an easy fight. Forever the best man is that shows up. But during fight week, what would you be looking for? Let's say the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday. Are there any tells you think you might be looking for?
I think so. And again, it's because we know Derek don't do a T, so he's so erratic, you can't judge what he's going to do. He might just be pleasant all the way to the end and not do nothing, or he might just go like a lunatic on fight week. I think he'll be more intense, or the mood he's in when he wakes up is the mood he's in, and he don't hide it.
Yeah.
I mean, so...
He's a bad actor, Derek.
And because the guy who's lost, who's not in the best form, which is certainly Deontay Wilder, and seems to be a mental block there, in my opinion, I might be wrong, I think in my opinion it's not physical, then it's how he is. I think you have to look about how he's approaching the fight. I mean, he might try and force it. Sometimes they force it too much and overact.
Yeah,
in the fight.
overcomplicate
And then you go,
things.
hang on, he's overplaying this now. Is that another mechanism to show how nervous you are? Or if he's too timid, it's not good. We don't see this guy. Is he going to be too timid in the ring? So it's hard to judge. It doesn't matter what you do in fight week. It's almost irrelevant to what you are on, because you can go to bed the night before the fight, and when you're on your own, your demons are yours. And they're yours, and they control you.
But they've had 49 nights at that point when they've gone to bed on their own.
But not every fight's the same thing.
No,
and one fight you're confident, the next fight you're not confident.
Yeah.
But I mean, you win or lose a fight the night before. And I always say never in the changing room. I don't feel
day
my
before,
opinion.
that night before.
People might tell you different, but I think it's the night before.
No, I like the night before.
Because if you
theory.
haven't trained right, that time on your own, because all the time you have people in your camp, go on, Barry, go on.
Yeah. He's finished.
It's that time you're on your own, and then you start thinking, did I train right? Did I miss that run? Have I overtrained? Have I undertrained? Whatever it is, the sparring didn't go good. All the good things.
You think even these two old war horses, combined age 82,
it's
you
like the
think
angel
they
of the
still
devil
got
on your
it?
shoulder. All the good things you've done in camp.
All the
Not
bad
fighting with all
things.
the things you didn't do, or the bad things you did. So, did I start camp too late? Did I eat too much? And all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I think that's it. Am I going to get the tactics right? And I think that's where you can talk yourself into a fight, or certainly talk yourself out of a fight. So I think fight week, we're going to see how positive he is, and if he's the right frame of mind. We want to see the old Deontay Wilder against the best Chisora we can see, and that for the fight fans, which is all we're all interested in, really. Will give us a great night.
That's a fight and a night. Barry, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks, obviously, to Deontay for finding some time. Thanks to Derek for finding some time. Calla Sauerland's always a pleasure. Frank Warren. And what a delight to talk to Shelley Finkel, the man. I'd like to do a sit-down with Shelley, maybe a part 2, maybe even a part 3. That's the kind of business he can do. It's been a special build-up, a special week, special fight. It will be quite an incredible weekend, that weekend. Let me just give you a clue about what's happening that weekend, just quickly. On the same night that Del Boy fights in Cardiff, Lauren Price will be defending her world titles live on the BBC. And then the following night, yes, a Sunday, Easter Sunday, Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian will launch their deal with Sky and have 4 British women in 4 world title fights. That's taking place at Olympia. How's that for 48 hours in the boxing business? I'm Steve Bunce, and this is 5 Live Boxing.
From a small